Oh my goodness, I think we are live right now. Hello, my name is Ryan Erickson, host of Riffing with Ryan, and I am here on Intuitive Public TV. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Megan has been so wonderful to allow me to just stampede over the studio this morning and just riff on what I wanted to riff about over on my channel. But since Megan is, we're in some kind of partnership. Ooh, I like that. So the topic that I wanted to bring into the space is evolution. And the reason I wanted to bring that topic into the world today from my point of view was that I was faced with a rather disturbing, angering belief this morning about human beings as hardwired for certain behaviors and certain responses. I think it was in the concept of people always want to climb ladders. We're wired for that. We, big old fat global we, species wide we, and that's just the way it is. Human beings are hardwired this way. And I call bull hockey on that, bollocks to that. Yes, to a certain extent, there are patterns that have followed we Homo sapiens sapiens through the years and through the millennia, and however long you think those of us with skinless apes or hairless apes, hairless apes have landed on the planet. However long you think that, and we have evolved through time. We've changed. We're continuing to change. That's the big we who is changing. And I think it's cutting human nature short to continue to commit to a belief that domination over others and pursuit of power and pursuit of luxury and fruits of our labor to all ends without restraint is not generative healthy for humans or the planet. And that's not a mutually exclusive relationship between survival and success in market economies as they have evolved through social structures through the thousands of years. And in the context of that social success and monetary success and luxury success and all that successes, the creature comforts that have bounded upon us, that it is possible. It is a need, compulsion of human beings to expand beyond that, to actually evolve, to be a step forward in that evolution now, not to look at our evolutionary process as something that's so slow and going to continue to climb and climb and climb because that's the way we've always done it. We don't have to do it the way living, surviving, seeking, thriving has always been done. I want more than that. I hope that you want more than that too. That you want to make art, not just slam rocks and jam electricity into them together. That we deserve to love one another, love the people we serve, and bask in that joy together. So with that, I will drop the virtual stone and stick here and take myself off of the solo mode and say good morning out to Megan.
I am really moved and amazed at how this happened this morning. So I went kind of peeking around to see what the results of us doing this were. my text that I entered about, I'm going to look away from the screen a lot because my eyes are having trouble focusing. I entered some text, Ryan, that I think you will not have seen, but perhaps I'll read it actually. The text that I wrote was about shared strategy. And I didn't know that Ryan would be here in the studio when I popped in to decide what I'm just going to see. I wasn't going to live stream. I was like, I need to rest more. I have a serious re-injury. But if I feel very compelled, there's this different energy happening. I'm like, all right, well, how can I do this? How can I do this in a good way? Like, how could this actually really work? And I will just not do any of the things that would be too hard for me. And I will just find out what happened. And I arrive here and I've written my text in and I'll read it in a moment. And then Ryan's here and he's waving at me. And I'm like, my brain is scrambled. Am I hallucinating? Here's the text that I published. So we ended up publishing. We ended up live streaming with this text, except Ryan, I think it's different text on your YouTube channel than the one I wrote, but this is appearing with my text on Intuitive Public TV platforms and the other platforms that we've been sending it to. This is so wild and interesting. So I'll read this and then I'll say a little more about my response to what you introduced us with. Shared strategy, live in real time, actually, smiley face. Intuitive Public TV, live real-time simultistream, once more, bravely broadcasting. Megan writes, today I'm considering some shared strategy in real time. I am continuing to recover from a really gnarly rehab re-injury, but I feel compelled to do this and be here to learn from it, to find out what happens when I lean in. Will I be able to see comments? Sometimes, maybe. Will I be able to use social media to help people catch the live stream? Will I be able to broadcast on time? Possibly unlikely. We started at 10. How ridiculous. But I can fire it up when I fire it up and discover who spontaneously joins me. There's a limited efficacy to pre-recorded live streaming, considering how much it is real-time interactions that fuel my function. And I personally don't like being so confused about whether the person is actually there or not. When I see live notifications, interesting, tricky. Well, I'm here right now today. For as long as I'm here right now today, let's see how it feels to do it this way. That's what I wrote. And then Ryan was here and said all of that. That's what Ryan felt moved to say this morning, looking at the live stream. And I mean, we are talking about evolution, but how does evolution occur? How do living beings become? Not by being forced into rigid structures of limitation, although actually that can result in evolution because the crunching, right? And then the life energy goes, the Jurassic Park thing, right? Yeah. Life finds a way. Do this. And that's what we're talking about in the Intuitive Network all the time. We're talking about how there are these superpowers that emerge when people have experienced terrible experiences. But I mean, everyone everywhere, regardless of what intersections they're navigating, we're all experiencing the chafing of those rigidities. We do it. It's not right. We're more than that. Living beings are more than that. And how do we be who we be? We can't just try to make ourselves do the thing we got to make ourselves do all the time. We got to discover together. And what is this? This is sacred, what happened this morning. That's amazing.
And one thing that came up, and you were expressing about the stress of having to juggle all of these. How many streams do I see up here? Like 6 or 7 simultaneous streams, and then got to manage the comments, got to put them up on the screen, got to watch, got to make thinking, and I've got to be talking at the same time. You are not alone. You're not alone. And I think that's also the evolutionary thing. So there's talk about that humans are social beings, and yes, that's right. And being individualistic, and we got a dog eat dog, all that stuff, and that. But what has happened, I believe, with the evolution of the species is, yes, we have this desire to be together, and we're interacting. We're not just interacting, we're interbeing. I'd heard that before. It's like interbeing. It's so beautiful. And I think I also, when I first heard that, is interbecoming. So that is interbecoming. And what is becoming? Because it's just you and me and each of us kind of flowing our life energy and spirit into those of wonderful, magical spirit beings out there. And what is being created and being witnessed is that third piece, that evolution. That's the relationship between you and me that is being witnessed, and that para relationship with all those who are with us now. And that, I think, this with each other, for each other, that there's more power with us being created by the relationship with us here, and with the relationship with people who are thinking about what is happening here and being inspired. This is spirit. This is what I call spirit, and what my mentor, who has passed on, who I never met, but this Harrison Owen, the discoverer of open space. Spirit was the first book he wrote. It's the spirit of me, the spirit of you, the spirit of us, in this interbecoming. And talk about shared strategy, right? So strategy kind of has, to me, this, there's a bit of a slotting into different futures, and that's fine. But that navigation of those strategies in the moment that's the possibility, and that creating, and just that jazzes me up this morning. A friend of mine asked me, and then I'll throw whatever back into the circle. How would you know when you were doing something that was authentic? How would you know? How would you really, really know? And it's like, well, I would know because, this, that, and the other, and I was blah, 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 wording all over the place. But you know it when you feel it. You know it when you feel it. And it's so simple. And I know it right now because I feel it right now. And that feels good to me.
Today is the first day of 13 days in the Mayan Zolkin, one of the Mayan calendars. So daykeepers have called it a lot of different things that we've learned, and I am not an expert, but we've been following Mayan calendars for a while because it has really been reparative for our brains, for functions in the intuitive network. And so it's something that we follow pretty closely. A lot of our groups follow it pretty closely. And there's a Nawal that is lizard or creativity, or kind of a, Mark Elmy says, like a net, like the sorting and gathering of what is caught, or what is identified, or what is coming together. Community has been invoked. The Cherokee reference is dragon. And so these are all of these references for the 13 days that begin today. Today is one lizard or one dragon, a lot of us say in the network. I'm noticing, like, there's this flow of energy where we're coming off of the Scorpio full moon that was really intense for many of us. And like, where is that energy going? And if something really challenging happens, what is it still becoming? It's not just this bad thing happened and my life is over. It's, oh, this is a part of the larger story of the arc that is occurring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, we can talk about evolution, we can talk about becoming. But I wanted to notice that because there really is stuff going on in the world. And if we're tuned into our bodies, and if we're tuned into the energy we're experiencing with one another, the greater sacred physiology of the fact that we're here on this planet together. It's a really different experience. And what I find myself doing a lot, because it keeps being really relevant, is I end up saying to people, like, the rigid structures may be working for you right now. And I'm so glad if they are, because those that it's not working for are having really horrific experiences. But the thing is that, what is your experience in your body in terms of what happens if it doesn't work for you anymore? What happens if you discover that you cannot navigate, that you cannot be reliable to those structures the way you could previously? What is that going to mean in your life? Because many people find out, as I found out, suddenly or in a traumatic way, that I could not even operate in those structures. And then there was this automatic assumption from a lot of others in my environments that made me lesser, or that made me like dangerous to interact with in some way. But what I needed was the centering of this life energy that is emergent, and discovering together what that is. We don't know what it is until we experience it together and dialogue about it. So I'm glad every time we bring in open space references.
I'm going to bring in another one. So you talk about the rigid structures. I don't think it's the rigidity that's the problem of the structure. I think what the problem is that we're talking about rigid structures that are constraining us, that we don't have much air in, that you can't breathe in a structure where it's, I'm used to walking in the structure, and I can't move, I can't breathe. And that what do human beings need more than anything else? We need breath. We need air. You smash the air out of a place that you're causing, death. When you cut out, you can't breathe. You can't live without breathing for a while. So what do you need to do? If you those rigid structures, if you expand them a little bit, you can walk with another in the structure. You breathe together. Wait for it. You open more space in that structure, right? So when you're working on,
well, please continue. I'm having a lot of interesting thoughts, but I want to let you unfold what you're unfolding.
Well, it again, it's rigid structure. There's one law in open space. If you're neither contributing nor learning, go somewhere else, please. That is rigid. I compel you. I insist that you go somewhere else, because I don't want you harshing my vibe of my spirit being in here and being present. So that's that one law is like way out, it's beyond that, and it's like, it's not here, it's there, that one law. And then the principles are kind of, wherever it happens, the right place, whenever it starts the right time, whoever's there is the right people, whenever it's over, it's over. And what happened is the only thing that could have happened, because we're walking here together in this space, in this place, because we want to be here. We have passion and heart and meaning, and we're standing up for what we care about with each other, for each other, all that stuff. And if I'm here, even if you're just, I have to focus straight forward. Yeah, I can move, but I can barely breathe, just breathe, man.
I feel, and I mean, I'm not sure how it will come out of my mouth. We'll sort of find out. So we've been using the word rigidity a lot in terms of where that rigidity is preventing breath, where it's preventing choice, where it's preventing life. But of course, it's important to highlight that there are rigid structures that the rigidity really it serves a lot of important purposes to have. Well, I mean, like if we have a wall that is rigid in certain ways, then it helps us make a container. But then we also talk about bridges, you know, like the way bridges are built so that they will be a little bit flexible, so they won't be destroyed. So like there's rigidity and there's brittleness, like and there's rigidity that holds a strong container, and there's rigidity that it's one of the things when I'm experiencing concussion symptoms, especially, but now like my whole life, words have so many different meanings to anchor with one another about what meanings are we using at the time is this whole thing, this whole exploration.
Yes, and so much the words matter, and so much do the words matter. And you talk about rigidity, and I think of it, that brittleness. But then we talk about rigidity in the way you talk about it. I talk about strength, and that's in that. So if you go through a traumatic event, and that these events that you've been, the concussions and all those things, those are, and you're vulnerable. They happen. They weaken you. And what allows you to heal? And when you heal, you're not gaining rigidity, you're gaining strength. And I think that's, and that you're moving from this, what if you believe this structure around you is brittle and I can't do anything, but there's, I mean, there's a softness to the strength. I mean, there's so many words that you can expand on when you're talking about one concept. I mean, it's the beauty and the bane of language is that, there's so many colors and sounds to, one word. And hopefully we add words that strengthen the meaning.
Well, we discover new meanings of new words and new phrases together in all of these different ways. We need all of the different elements that come in, and it's so valuable to anchor our languaging with one another. And we've also many of us have lived our lives entirely in environments that were holding language in place, and maybe creating consequences for expanding beyond that language, like creativity and dreaming and imagination are silly. Like, don't do that.
Not serious.
Don't play. So it prevents the evolution of languaging and of experiencing in certain ways, but also like how do we value structures together? Structures are valuable. A tree has rigidity, but also flowing of nutrients, and also evolving forms from the, and trees are also like neurology, which is something that makes me really happy.
Well, and what is a tree that a girder of steel and concrete around us is not? A tree is alive. A tree has life. It's carbon, hydrogen, and mystery and spirit. And these concrete walls and this glass, that they are made by humans to be tools to control nature, and that nature will find a way. The trees can be strong, and the trees will find a way. There's a great Rush song about that. There is unrest in the forest. There is trouble with the trees, and the maples fine. Oh, I forget what the words are, but I'm not great at words, but I'm good at the melody. But Rush, the trees. So think about that. Oh, okay. So I think that's Brendan possibly there.
That I think it may in fact be. I feel a lot of wonderful nourishment being immersed in the many different manifestations and striations of whatever creative expression flows. I find a lot of that in Brendan's shares also. This is Personality, Epistemology, and Life in Liminal Times on YouTube, the channel that he has been tending and curating. And Brendan does a lot of really intensive work in the intuitive network to help people who cannot find any other source of assistance. Situations that most others would never be able to address. Brendan does his best to address those situations, and that has been a really important part of how the intuitive network has been increasingly developed over time, that there are those of us who discovered that, like, this is really what we feel moved to do in the ways that we can. But of course, without more people knowing about what that is and what's going on, the resources are so limited at those intersections. And we need nutrient flow, we need oxygen flow, we need leaves to turn to the sunlight. We need the, I mean, what there's words in my brain that I think I remember about the light coming into the green part, the stoma,
the photosynthesis kind of thing. Yeah.
Photosynthesis. Yes. Like, we're, all of us together and all of us individually are amazing living creatures. And we don't want to forget that. That's where such amazing power lives. And if we've forgotten it temporarily, what amazing thing can happen next?
Take a nice big breath on that. Oof. And parting is such sweet sorrow. I'm feeling called to tend to the spiritual beings here with me in my familial setting. I wasn't intending to be here, and yet whatever has happened is the only thing that could have happened. And so, sadly, when it's over for me. I shall see you in the back channel, where that back channel is, and thank you for the precious gift of you.
Thank you, Ryan, for this spontaneous occurrence. Wow. See you soon. That's all that needs to be said, really. I think that was really amazing and completely unexpected. I have a lot of different thoughts and experiencing that I'm looking forward to bringing in. And you know what? Actually, this amount of time is probably a lot better for me in terms of broadcasting. So let's keep exploring and let's keep discovering together what miracles can possibly occur, because wow, miracles are really, really occurring.